Hello everybody, and welcome back to Pokemon Ranger. So, in the last part, we dealt with another Go Squad member that been Klein in a Psychic, and we even met up with the Go Rock Squad members, the Go Rock Squad boss. That of course being Gordor. And we even captured the legendary Pokemon Entei. And now, as you've seen here, Professor Hastings wants us to head back to Fall City. Considering that as soon as we do, we are gonna be started up our actual next mission. Yeah, unlike what we went through within the Jungle Relic. Yeah, this time it is actually going to be, this time it is actually going to be a proper mission this time. So, yeah. Now, I guess I have to say this right now. Now, as we go for this mission, we're going to be encountering at least one Pokemon that's definitely going to be annoying. And you'll definitely see what I mean as we get to that. Ditto, you're finally with us. We're off to the Dusk Factory. The Go Rock Squad studied my Super Styler and developed their own. Now they've started producing their new stylers right here in Fall City. Who would have guessed it? They won't get away with this criminal act right under our very noses. And so, Ditto, this is your new mission. Investigate the Dusk Factory. Yeah, and also the professor is actually going to be joining us, actually. Yeah, and apparently we are befuddled. Let me guess. You're wondering if it's okay to accept a mission from me, and not a leader. There's no need for concern. I'm the Ranger Union's chief of technology. In other words, anything I ask for can be considered an official Ranger Union mission. Shall we? Yeah. But anyways, as I said, now for this mission. Professor Hastings is actually going to be joining us. It's actually going to be joining us for this one. But anyways, now we're going to be investigating the very same factory that we saw that was blocked. But now we can actually start investigating it. Yep, mission 7. Investigate the factory. Now, Ditto. Well, we must shut down the power supply that drives Dusk Factory. We must stop the Go Rock Squad from making any more of our stylers. Let's drive them out. Yep. But however, the door is locked. It seems we need a password to open these gates. But this is nothing. Stand aside and let my genius shine. Alright then. This only requires a 2-digit number? How's this? Go wrong. Go 660. 60. And these gates should open. Yep, it certainly did. Hey, way to go, Professor. I never expected it to be really open that easily, but not to worry. Let us go. There should be a generator somewhere that's making the electricity for the factory. Let's find it and knock it out. Yep, as we shall do that. But however, the front door is also locked. The automatic door isn't responding. We best find another way entry, Ditto. And the other entry just happens to be that door right there. But before we get to that, we're actually going to be getting some Pokemon around here. Now, some of which includes these Voltorbs. and also a Meowth here. Yeah, we're actually gonna be needing this Meowth. Within just a bit. It's something you're gonna see. But anyways, then as for these Voltorb, excuse me. Yeah, as you saw, as soon as the Voltorb see you, they will immediately explode. Now, Voltorb here, even though they are our next to recharge Pokemon, but however, they're not going to recharge much. And considering that we're now at this point of the game where you're probably not going to be able to, yes, since you're probably at the point of health where you may need a Pokemon like from Magneton or Pikachu in order for you to be able to recharge your Styler. Yeah, Voltorb, yeah, it's something, but at the same time, at this point in the game, not really. But of course, Voltorbs are necessary if you want to complete the browser. But I'm just saying. But what I'm saying is there are much better recharge Pokemon around here in order for you to be able to get. But anyways, now we also caught the Makuhita, since that is also a Pokemon that is also acquired. Yeah, for something that we're gonna have to do a little bit later on. But anyways, now since we enter the factory, now we have a Growlithe. But unfortunately, we can't get ourselves up there. Well, as of right now. However, we are going to be able to pretty soon. But first, as you can see here, yep, yeah. Now this right here is exactly what you're going to need that Meowth for. Yeah, you essentially need to cut down that wooden fence. And since we have this up here, it's time for some more Go Rock Squad battles. I don't know about your missions, or clearing, or any of that ranger stuff. All I know is that it's irritating. I mean, what is that? That capture on thing? Come on. Well, that is just something we rangers say, okay? But anyways, two Voltorbs. Yeah, it's something that we can easily handle, so yeah. But anyways, now you may have saw, as soon as we enter this floor, yeah, there is that crate there. Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna be able to push it to the side. Essentially identical like we did previously, like where we helped out that woman move into her new apartment area. Move into her new apartment building. Yeah, we're gonna do exactly the same thing here, but utilize the name Makuhita too. Yeah. And then, if you jump down here, now this right here is how you'll be able to get to the Growlithe. Now Growlithe, he essentially acts very similar to when we face off against the Houndoom. So if you already know how to deal with the Houndoom, then getting Growlithe really shouldn't be all that troubling for you. Yeah, but I would say you're definitely gonna need this Growlithe for something much later on. Something much more later on in this factory. Trust me on that. Yeah, you're definitely are gonna need that Growlithe. But anyways, now as we head back down here, who is that? I'm sure who is that lot? Yep, it is indeed once again the Go Rock Quad. Now, if you recall previously, I believe it was one of the boys back in Fall City saying that he kept on hearing like a band practicing near the factory. Yeah, this right here is what he was hearing all that time. And also, now even though I keep on skipping their motto here, but however, when we get to their motto the last time, that's when I'm gonna be saying their motto again. Yeah. But anyways, now they're done with that again. That'll do. That'll do for today's practice. Blah, blah. Practicing isn't boring. That's the attitude that made you lose against that child. Maybe so. I don't care either way. Let's cut this useless chatter. I just want to out of this greasy place. If I don't get to go to shopping, I am so going to get totally stressed out. Now, Tiffany, quit being so self-centered. Really, just Tiffany? Garrett will stay to oversee the factory. We're going back to the hideout because the boss is waiting for us. Yeah, now you see, we just happen to encounter Garrett again. Yeah. Goodness, that foursome put up one mighty racket, don't they? Yeah, sure, they surely do indeed. But anyways, now we have, now we have another recharged Pokemon, that being Magnemite. And here we have this. Aha! A generator. Let's shut it down. How could they be so cruel? They are draining this biggest power to run the electrical system. The only way this generator can be stopped is by rescuing the trapped Pikachu. Ditto, it's up to you. Make quick work of it. And the only way that we can break that cage is if we have a Pokemon that utilizes 2 cuts. Yeah, we're gonna see who that is within just a bit. But as soon as we enter the next area, yeah, now the area where we actually see where all of these stylers are being generated, here's where we get to encounter Mr. Mime. Now, Mr. Mime really loves putting up invisible barriers. Mostly invisible barriers. Yeah, they do glow up every now and then, but not always. And also, those barriers do stay up for like a while, so yeah, just be careful when you're capturing Mr. Mime. And speaking of Mr. Mime, yeah, just like with that last run who had the Voltorbs, even though we already got ourselves a Voltorb. Now we're dealing with Mr. Mime, so when we just literally disguise ourselves one. Man, that is too good, man. That is 2 Growlithe grunts in a row, man. Oh yeah, we have this too. Yeah, sometimes when you're battling more than one Pokemon, the experience that you get for that first one that you caught, will still go. Yeah, you will still get experience from it, and then you will immediately will get your next level up right then and there. Yeah, which does make it pretty darn convenient, isn't it? But anyways, and now we have this room, and here we have Hypno. Now, Hypno is definitely a lot more of a threat than Drowsy, because it is not only just because you have to do a few more loops around Hypno, and they're also more aggressive in battle. And also, they can also confuse you within the overworld, exactly the same as Zubats do. So yeah, just be very careful about that. That's where we enter here, and now here's where we meet our very first Go Rock Squad commander. And as you might hear, as we get into the battle with these Beldum and Muk here. Yeah, now for when you're battling a Go Rock Squad commander, they actually have different music. I'm sure. Compared to when you're facing off against a regular grunt. Do you actually hear that? This right here is exactly what I am talking about. But anyways, yeah, and this right here is not only the second time in the entire game where you actually will face off against a Muk. Yeah, after our very first encounter with one, that of course being that boss fight, and also with those two Beldums, if we did not encounter the Beldum back in the jungle relic, then this right here would have been our very first time encountering Beldum. So yeah, that's always something. But anyways, everyone. Now for the area with the Hypnos. Yeah, that's actually gonna be changed once we rescued that Pikachu from that generator. Yeah, and it's never gonna change for the worst. Yeah, you're definitely gonna see what I mean as soon as we free that Pikachu. But anyways, now that you saw it there, we also have at least one Magneton here. Yeah, and also that Magneton is definitely gonna be very handy, just in case if we get into any sort of trouble. And then, if we go to the rooftop, we not only have Wingull here, but we also have a Pinsir. Now, I think Pinsir does not attack you whatsoever. I think. I'm pretty sure Pinsir does not try to go after you and attack you. Excuse me. But anyways, then as for Pinsir, as you're trying to capture him, yeah, that is when Pinsir can start being aggressive towards you. Yeah, as you can see, Pinsir is more aggressive in battle than he is in the overworld. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, Pinsir is definitely the Pokemon that you definitely want to pick up if you want to free that. If you definitely want to free that. If you definitely want to free that Pikachu. But anyways, now we have this guy who's apparently been slacking off with his Slakoth. Get it? He's slacking off with his Slakoth. But anyways, now with the Slakoth. Now, if we did not find one back in the Olive Jungle, then this right here would have been our very first time. Then this right here would have been our very first time encountering one. Yeah, I suppose that is definitely worth something. About me goofing off, no words to anyone, okay? Fine, I won't say anything. Well, that is if I get asked about it, then. Maybe. But anyways, everyone, with that said, I feel like that should be all I'm going to do for this part, considering there's definitely plenty more stuff that we are going to be doing in this factory. Yeah. And so, until the next part, I'll see you guys next time.